Hello and welcome back to our introductory course on JavaScript. In lesson 3, we'll take a look at control structures, which includes loops and conditionals. Conditional statements are used to perform different actions based on different conditions. This is like making decisions in everyday life. For example, if it's raining, you take an umbrella, otherwise you don't. In JavaScript, we use the if statement to control the flow of our code based on certain conditions. So let's go ahead and take a look at basic if statements. So to start off, if you remember how to set a Boolean expression, let's set is raining to true. And now let's move on to the if or conditional part of the code. So we're going to do if is raining console.log take in umbrella. And so if you put just the variable name inside the parentheses after if, it'll always check if it's true and not false. So if is raining true, then you should take an umbrella. And I'll go ahead and fix this. And let's go ahead and run this code by doing node lesson3.js. And as you can see, it says take an umbrella because I set is raining to true. Now if I set is raining to false, then nothing will print. So let's go ahead and run the code. And as you can see, nothing prints. Now if we want something to print if is raining is false, let's go ahead and add an else statement. So if this does not work out, then it can go on to the else portion of the code. And we can do else and then the curly braces, console.log, don't take an umbrella. And so let's go ahead and run this code. And as you can see, it says don't take an umbrella because the variable is set to false. But if we set it to true, it'll display take an umbrella. Now let's take a look at else if statements. So let's go ahead and declare a variable called weather and let's set it to sunny. Let's go ahead and create our if statement. So if weather 3 equals indicates that it has to match console.log take in umbrella, else if weather 3 equal signs, quotation marks sunny, take a hat, else, and if neither of those are true, then you can enjoy your pleasant day. Now let's go ahead and run the code. And as you can see, it says take a hat because we have set the variable to sunny here. And we can go ahead and replace this with sunny because we're declaring the variable as sunny here. So it says take a hat. But if we change the variable to rainy and run the code, it'll say take an umbrella. Now if we change it to something that's not listed on here, like windy, it'll say enjoy your pleasant day because we haven't created that else if statement yet. So that's the basics of conditionals in JavaScript, including if else and if else if statements. Now let's go ahead and take a look at loops. Loops are used in programming to perform repeated tasks based on a condition. If the condition is true, the code inside the loop will run. So the first type of loop that we have is a for loop. So to write this, we're going to use the for keyword, and then we're going to go ahead and declare a variable using var I, or whatever letter you'd like. And let's set that to 0 for now. Then in the middle of this for statement, let's say if I is less than 10, and there is our conditional statement, so the loop will only run when I is less than 10. And then let's go ahead and increase I for every single time it loops through the code. And let's go ahead and console log I. And let's go ahead and run this code. And as you can see, it displays 0, 1, 2, and all the way till 9. And this is because it loops through all the numbers that are from 0 until it's less than 10. For example, if we were to change this to 50, it'll show all the numbers between 0 and 49. And if we change this to 30, then it'll show all the numbers between 30 and 49. As you can see, 30 to 49. So when writing for loops, just remember that you have to have the initializer, which is actually declaring the variable. Then you have to have the condition that it meets, which is I is less than 50, and then you have to have the incrementer, which increases it each time. Now let's take a look at the second type of loop in JavaScript, which is the while loop. So to use the while loop, you have to declare a variable outside of the while expression, unlike the for loop. So we can go ahead and declare an I variable, which is 100, for example. And while I is below 150, we can console.log I plus is less than 150. If you remember how to concatenate from the previous lesson, this is how you do it. And let's go ahead and run this code. And as you can see, it'll keep looping forever because this variable is not changing, and it'll always be below 150 until we change it. So if we change this less than sign to a greater than sign and stop running the code, as you can see, it won't display anything. These numbers are just from our for loop and not from our while loop, because it does not meet this condition that we've set here. Now it's your turn to practice with control structures. Try to write down your own conditional statement and loop. A few ideas include a conditional statement that checks if a number is even or odd, a loop that prints the numbers 1 through 10, and you can even try to combine conditionals and loops. You can try writing a loop that prints the even number from 1 through 10. Understanding control structures is fundamental to programming, especially JavaScript, as they allow your code to make decisions and repeat actions. Be sure to practice control structures including if statements, else if, for loops, and while loops, as they are fundamental in JavaScript. In the next lesson, we'll dive into functions and events, so I'll see you then.